Hi guys, welcome. In today's video, we will be building a URL shortening API landing page. It's a challenge on the FrontendMentors website. So in this challenge, we'll be using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to build a very responsive and nice looking landing page. It's an intermediate level challenge, and I built this already, and I'm going to be walking you through how we will be building this. So it's going to be an interactive and rewarding time you're spending here. So this is how the desktop design looks like, and this is the active states when you hover around links or buttons. And we also have the mobile design, how the mobile design looks like. It's pretty responsive. There's also the tablet design, which wasn't covered here, which I added as part of the work we will be doing. And this is how it looks like. Uh, this is about what you just saw on the FrontendMentors website. So we have this here, and as you can see, when we hover around the buttons, we have an active state, changes the filter, the brightness filter. And when we hover around the links, we see that the background of those links changes. When we hover around buttons, we can see they also change. We can scroll down. When we hover around the footer links, we can see that they change and all of that. So it is pretty responsive also. So let's try to check its responsiveness. So this is on the tablet screen. This is how it looks on the tablet screen. Pretty responsive. Let's try to check how it looks like on a mobile screen. So it's really responsive. So here, that's not all. We can also shorten our URLs here. So if I try to shorten this and I click on shorten, so I see that our URL that we entered here in the inputs box here, it has been shortened. Let me try to say Etuk Johnson, try to shorten that. Yeah, we can see this prepends over those engines that we've just done. Let's try something. Sandra Solomon. Let's add that. So we see that it prepends this. So if we try to refresh, we can still get our links because they are saved in the local storage. So we're going to be looking into how working with local storage help us achieve this. So we're going to be designing all of this with CSS, working with grid layouts, flexbox, and lots more, and a lot of JavaScript also. So stay tuned and for the actual project, and it promises to be an exciting time. So let's jump in. Yeah, so we're going to get started building our URL shortening API landing page. So what we have here is on this directory, this URL shortener website directory, we have our image folder, and the image folder contains all the images we will be using on the project. So I'm going to have a link to my GitHub repository for the project. So you're going to get all the images there. So you can clone the project, get the images, and also the source code, and follow along. So it's a FrontendMentors project challenge, and I'll be referencing them on the video description, giving appropriate credits to them here. So we have all the images in this folder here, and I have a text file that contains all the text I will be using in the project. And yeah, so that's what we have here. So it's technically a blank project, and I'm going to create in a couple of directories and files. So let's get started. So first, I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call that CSS. So it's going to contain our styles. And I'm going to create another folder. Call that JS for our JavaScript functionality. So it's a folder that contains all the JavaScript files, which technically would just be a file. Then I'm going to come to the root of the directory, and I'm going to create an index.html file here. So this will contain all our HTML tags and the structure of our website. And that's basically what we need to have for now. So first, I'm going to be doing this, just a blank scaffold of our project. So I'm just going to title this as a URL shortening website. Yeah, so that's it. Can save this. Yeah, so I can come and just put an h1 tag here and say hello world to see if we can actually render this on our browser. So I'm going to come, I already have live server installed on this project. So if you want to install live server, you can come on the extensions page here and search for live server. So with live server, with this plugin, I'm able to make changes on my HTML file, save and have them rendered almost immediately. Yeah, so you can install this if you want to, or I would advise you do. Makes development a lot easier. So I'm going to go live and see how it works here. Yeah, so it renders properly. So we're going to be moving ahead, and we'll go back to our page here. So first, we'll be using some font size, rather some font in the project. We're going to be using Poppins as our font, and we're also going to have a font awesome CDN for our different types of icons we would be using in the project. So for doing that, I'm going to go back to our browser, and I'm going to say cdn.gs.com. Okay, so I'll come here and search for font awesome. So we have font awesome here, so I can copy the link here, this link tag here, and I'll come to our project, and just below our title I can paste that here. So that's what I want, and we've done this for font awesome. So also we need to also get the fonts, and we're going to be using Poppins here. So I'm going to come back to our browser and I'll search for font. I think, what do they call that? It's a Google font. Font. I think Poppins should pop up. Okay. Yeah, so I've already selected Poppins. So, but if you come in here through the fonts.google.com here, and come in here, you would have to search. So we're going to be using Poppins in the project. So when we search, okay, so we can find that here already, Poppins. So I think we already have Poppins here, and so I can get the embedded code for this. Okay, so when I come here, I can get the embedded code. I can copy this, or I can come here and select all what I need. So I can come here, I don't need this. Let's select what we need. The width size, we need 300. We also need 400. Yeah, we need 600 and 700 also. I think that's about all we need. So we need 400, 600, and 700. So I can copy this style here. I'll go back to our HTML page in our head tag, just below the title. So I can have can paste this. So we've linked the Poppins font family on our project, so we can use Poppins on our project here. So I can take out our h1 tag, and let's not forget to do something also. We're going to add styles, our style sheets. So first I'm going to come to our CSS folder, and I'm going to create a style file. So I'll call that style.css, and I'm going to put a link to that on our index.html here. So just below this, I'll say link. Can do link. So rel style sheets. Then the href is the position where in our project our CSS file is located. So it's inside our CSS folder, and we reference the style.css. Don't forget to do this. It's very important. Without this reference, you can't style any components or any elements inside of the HTML file. So next, I'm going to have our icon, our favicon icon. So if we save this and go to our browser, now we see that, okay, it's giving us this here, this favicon icon. So I want to change it to what we have on our project. So I would come here and we'll say link. Let's do this link realm. So we're gonna have call this shortcut icon. So href where it's located. So I'm gonna go into our images folder, and we have a favicon icon here, and the type will be image/x/x icon. You can save this. So we can see that our icon is saved here. So this is our icon here. So next, we're going to start building the structure of our website. So first, we're going to set up the navbar. So I'm going to come into here, or I can use this. So first, we're going to be building this, the navbar. So we're going to have the logo, and we're going to have all these things here. So let's start working on our navbar. Let's go back here. So first, I would say navbar. So this is going to be our navbar section. So I'm going to have a nav element, and I think before I want to do this, let me come and add some custom styles in our CSS folder file here. So I'm going to be adding some styles here, some basic styles we're going to be using across our project. So I'm going to have star here, box sizing, border box, and margin, top, left, right, and bottom. I'll set that as 0. Then our padding, also top, left, front, top, right, bottom, and left, set to 0 also. And next, I'm going to add some colors to our roots of the roots of our styles. So we want to access certain color codes across our project. So I'm going to be setting all of that here. So for cyan, we're going to have cyan HSL, say 180, 66%, and 49%. So that's for our cyan. We're also going to have dark violet, and it will be HSL 257, 27%, and 26%. So next, we're going to have our red, and it's HSL 0,87%, 67%. Then we're also going to have gray. Gray will be HSL 0%, and 75%. Then we're also going to have grayish violet, which is the HSL 257.7% and 63%. And so we're going to also have another one called that very dark blue, which will be HSL 255, 11%, and 22%. We're also going to have very dark violet, which will be HSL 260 and 8% and 14%. Then we would have lighter gray, which will be HSL 0% and 90%. So this would be the colors we would be using across our project. So next we're going to have an HTML here. So inside our HTML, we want our scroll behavior, it's called our scroll behavior, we want that to be smooth. So next we're going to have our body. Inside our body, we want our font family to be Poppins. So that's why we referenced it in our HTML header, or rather the head of our HTML document. So if Poppins is not available on that browser, we can use sans serif. So font size, default font size will be 18 pixels. The line height will be 1.5. Then our background color, the background will be default white #ff. Then we're going to have an overflow X to be hidden. So we don't want it to overflow to the left or the right. So we're going to put that hidden. So next, we're also going to have our A tag here. So for every link on our project, we're going to say text decoration should be none, and color should be #33. I think that'll be all here. So for every UL on ordered list, we want the list style to be none. So we don't want bullet points on our links. So that's why we're doing that. So on our images here, the max width should be 100%. And for our section padding, so we're going to have a class here, section padding. We're going to say padding would be 35 pixels top, 20 pixels right, 0 pixel bottom, and 100 pixels left. Yeah, so that's what we need to have for now. Then we can have this a Navbar section. Yeah. So that's what we want to have for now. I think we want we want a utility. So I'm going to add one utility here. So just come down here. Well, I think I can add it. Well, let's just do it down here. See, utilities. Yeah. So these are styles that will be applied across different classes. So that's why we're having this here. So we're going to define just one here. It's going to be our button class. So we say border radius would be 50 pixels by 100%. And we're going to have our background color to be, now we defined a couple of colors here. To be able to use this color, you have to use the var keyword here. So the var keyword here, then you can enter the color we want to use. So cyan. Then our border would be 1 pixel solid, then our color, cyan. Next, we'll see our color. We want the color of the text inside the button to be white, and the font size we want at 16 pixels, and font width we want that at 700. Then we want our transition to be a filter 0.3 seconds ease. So I'm going to be explaining what this does here, this transition filter here. Then I want our cursor. So whenever the cursor comes on the button, a pointer should appear here. So that's what we need for now. And we can come back to our HTML file here. And let's start defining the structure of our HTML. So we have our nav here. Yeah, so inside the nav, we're going to have a class called that section padding. You know, we already defined the section padding in our CSS file. So we're going to be seeing what that does. So next we're going to have a container div. Inside our container, we're going to have another div. We call that logo. And inside of our logo div, we're going to have an image here. So the source here will be images / logo svg. So I'll just call this logo in our out here. I'll come down here and we're going to have a URL on another list. Inside of this, we're going to say a list here, and inside the list, we're going to have an a tag. So I'm just going to have hash, so it goes nowhere. So it's going to be features. So we can come, copy this, and paste 2 times. So we're going to have pricing, and we're going to have resources. Yeah. So if we save this and go back to our browser, yeah. So this is it. So you see that there's a padding between the container, or rather the nav element. So there's a padding on that element. So we have a padding to the right of this here. So that's why our elements here are positioned just here. So next, we're going to have another div. So I'm going to close this div first. So we're going to have another div inside this container. So I'm going to say call that nav links main. So I'll say dot nav links main. So inside of this div, I'm going to have a URL here, and inside here I'm going to have a list that has an a tag. I'll just say hash. Here we're going to have our login. So next we're going to have another li tag, but instead of an href, we're going to have a button. So this button is going to have a class called btn, and inside here we're going to say sign up. So save that. I'll come back here. Yeah, so we can see we have another login here, and we have a sign up button. So you remember in the style.css file, we defined how our button should look like, the styles we're going to have for our button. So we're going to be adding some other styles on the button to make it a lot nice looking. So this is basically the style on this button. That's why it's like this. So we're going to be adding some other styles to make it look more aesthetic. So we're going to come back here, and that is everything we need to have for our navbar section for now. So we're going to start working on our styles here. So we're going to come into our navbar section here. So the next we're going to have here is we're going to say nav container, or rather nav container. So on the nav bar, we have a container. So this is the selector, the container class, and inside our container we want to say display flex, and justify content, all that space between, and we align the items to the center. So let's save this and check. So we see that the inside our container, we have declared our display item to flex. So we've done a flex here on this particular container. So what that means is it's going to put them in rows, or rather columns. So when we display flex here on this particular container here, this div and this div will be displayed in columns. And we, in our styles here, we see space between. That's why we have this space between them. And we are aligning the items to the center of the page, or rather to the center of our nav bar. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to come into our styles next, and we're going to say nav the container the logo. So now we want to work on our logo div. So inside our logo div, we're also going to do display grid. We're going to use our grid here. Now I'm going to tell you what this does in a sec. So what this will do here is inside the logo div, it's going to put all the items into a single row. So if we come back here and save, and let's justify content, we call that justify content, or rather we want to put that into a row. So we say grid, or rather a column, grid column, or grid templates columns, repeats to author. Now what this will do is it's going to put our logo, that is our inside our logo div, it's going to put the image and the UL on that list into two columns, and the two columns will occupy equal space. That's why we have author here. So occupy the space inside of it. So we're going to also have a gap in between them. Let's first check this, what it looks like. So here, like I said, it's going to be two columns. So that's why we have this repeat. So repeat two columns, and they should have equal space, or they should occupy equal space in that particular div. So that's why we are having this here. So we're going to have add a gap here, and that gap will be 40 pixels. So there's going to be a gap in between them here. So next, we're going to come into our logo. We say nav the container dot logo the UL. So inside our UL on that list, we're also going to display that, or put that into a flex layout. So we're going to say display flex. So when we display flex, what it will do is it will put on that list into a row. So let's do this and save and come back. So we see it has put this into a row here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a gap of 30 pixels. So we save that and see there's a gap of 30 pixels in between the lists here. So I'm going to come back, and I just want to align that to the center. Align items center. Yeah, we do that. So it aligns that to the center of the nav. Yeah, so the next thing we're going to come do here is we're going to say nav the container the logo ULLIA. So we target the A tag in our LIs. So we want to change the color. So we want that to be a grayish violet, and we want the font weight. We want the font weight to be 700, and the font size, we want that at 16 pixels. So we're going to save this and come back here. So we see that the A tag, we've changed the color of our A tag here, and the font weight is about 700. Font size is 16 pixels. So you see we've done that here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a pseudo class, or rather a pseudo element. So nav the container the logo the UL, we target the on that list, the LI, a hover. So when we hover on our a tag, this is the concept of a pseudo element. So on the a element, we want to have a pseudo class. We want to add a pseudo class on that element. A pseudo class means it's not defined on the HTML tag, but on the element itself. So we have this here, hover, and we're going to say color will be var very dark blue. So let's save that, come back here. So when we hover on the elements, we see that in the active state, it changes the color. That is the, or rather the background color, or the color of the a tag here. Now we want to also do that for this here, for this one here. So let's also add this. You can say nav, the container, the logo. Okay, it's not the logo. The nav links main URL hover. So we save that. We'll come back here. Should do the same thing. Nav links main URL. So when we save this, yeah, so when we hover around, it also does that. Okay. So next, let's try to make this look just like this here. We want to make this look like this here. So we're going to come back here and inside our styles, we're going to say nav.container nav links main UL. So inside of this, we're going to display this into a grid. Now what the grid will do is it will put that into 2 columns. So if we save this, it doesn't appear yet because we've not defined the template columns. So we're going to come back here and say grid template columns. So repeat to author. So if we do that, we see that it appears this way here. So we're going to add a gap of 20 pixels. Then we're also going to have a margin right to be 250 pixels. So we want to move it from the end because it's at the very end of our viewport here. So we want to push that 250 pixels to the right. So if we save and check, yeah, it does that here. And we're going to align the item center. And next, we're going to say, let's see have a font weight of 700. Yeah, so it does that. We save and does that here. So we see here. So we can see our login has a different color from our pricing. What's it called? Our login has a different color from these links we have here, and we're going to correct that. So we're going to come below here, and I'll just copy this so I don't take a lot of time. Yes, come and paste that. So nav the container, instead of the logo, we're going to have it on our nav links main, and I'm going to define the styles here. So, and I think it's about the same thing. So instead of having another one here, so I'm going to just copy this, cut this, and come over here and add a comma and paste this here. Then let's have a transition of 0.3 seconds ease. We save this. Yeah, so when we come here, we can see. Yeah, so that works. The next, we're going to try to style our button to make it look more aesthetic. So I'm going to say nav, instead of copying this, I'll just say uh, nav links main, copy this, nav links main, I'll say ULLI button. So let's add some styles. So let's say padding, 10 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. Let's save that. So we see our button looks a lot cleaner. Now let's add a hover pseudo element on our. So we're going to have the hover element here. And inside our hover elements, we're going to change the filter, the brightness to be 1.15 here. So if we come here, we see that it changes the brightness filter on our button. So yeah, we're looking good here. So that's everything on our navbar. That's everything we need to do for our navbar. So next we'll be moving into our hero section and here. So we're going to be building this section next. So let's come back to our index.html. So we're going to collapse this, the navbar section. So next we're going to call this hero section. So in our hero section, we're going to have a section element, and we want it to have an ID of hero and a class of section padding. So inside our section, we're going to have a container, and inside our container, we're going to have one, we call that hero contents. And inside our hero contents, we're going to have an h1. And inside our h1, let me come to our text here. So I'll copy this more than shorter links here. So h1, we have this more than just shorter links. So after the h1, we'll have our h5. And inside our h5, I'll come into our text here and just copy this here. Come back to our index.html, paste that. And I want to add a break, a line break between detailed and insight. So I'm going to say, yeah, so line break. So I'll just save this, wait for it to render. Yeah, so it renders that. So let's not also forget to add our button. So button is going to have a class of btn here. So inside of that, we're going to have get started. Save that, and yes, we have a button here. So let's collapse this. We're going to also have another div here, call that hero image. So inside our hero image, we're going to have an image tag. The source will be inside our images / illustration working.svg. So I'll just call this out here illustration. So I'm going to save this and check. Yeah, so we have our hero section here. So next we're going to try to style our hero section. So let's go back to our style, the CSS here, and I'm going to say this, just call this hero section. So inside of this, we're going to have a hero ID, and I want it to have a height of 80 VH, view height. So I'll save this, and I'll go back and say target our hero ID the container. Now we want to put the contents we've written and the image on a flex. Now when we put on a flex, it will position them in a row. So what that means is this here and this will be on two columns. So one column and another column. So let's say display flex, and when we save this, we see that it does what I just described. So next, we're going to say justify content space between, and we are going to have a padding to the bottom, make that 90 pixels. So when we save, yeah, so we have a padding on the bottom, 90 pixels. And next, we're going to come here and say hero dot container dot hero contents. So inside our first div, let's have a padding of 60%, 60 pixels top and bottom, and 0 pixels left and right. We save that. So top, between the nav bar and our section, 60 pixels top and bottom for this content here, and 0 pixels left and right. So yeah, that's what we just added here. And next, we're going to increase the size of our h1 tag here. So let's target that hero contents, paste this, copy this here, and just paste. So we want to target our h1 here. So inside of our h1, we're going to say font size is 58 pixels, and our color will be, let's get a very dark blue, and line height will be 60 pixels. So save that here. So more than just shorter links. Yeah, so we're going to come down here inside our h5. So we're going to add styles for our h5 here. So just copy this, paste h5. For h5, we'd say make it a font size of 18 pixels, and color should be very dark blue. So save that. Yeah, that's it. Next, we're gonna have styles. We're gonna add styles for our button. So our button is gonna have a padding of 10 pixels top and bottom, and 35 pixels left and right. So when we save this, yeah, we have this here. Next, we want to add a padding to, or rather a margin to the top here. So we want to push this button a bit down here. So we're going to say margin top. We'll make that 25 pixels. So we save that. We come back. We see a margin has been added to the top, 25 pixels. So let's also add a hover here. So when we hover on our button, pseudo element, so we filter, the brightness should be 1.15. We save this, and when we hover on our button, we see just that. So we can also add a transition here and just say transition filter 0.3 second is. We save this, we see some sort of transition here. That's if we want that. Yeah, so that's all we needed to do for this section here. So we look good. Yeah, so we are done with our hero section, and we're going to be moving on to another one, which is going to be our statistics section. So we're going to go back into our HTML file, and here we're going to say, just do this, call this statistics section. Yes. So next we're going to have say a section tag, and we're going to have an ID. We're going to call that statistics, and we're going to also have a class. We call that section padding here. So next we're also going to have a container, and inside our container we're going to have an h2 here, and we're going to call that h2 advanced statistics, and also going to have an h5 here. I'll just come into our text and copy that. So it's going to be track here, come back here, do this. Now I want to have a break point, a line break between widths here. So I'll just do yes. So I'll save this, and I'll go back to our HTML, or rather I'll go back to our browser. I see we already have this here. Then next, I think I would collapse. Oh, I think this is inside this here. So I'll just come down here and say, have another div. We'll call that statistics content. Inside our statistics content, we're going to have a card. And inside the card, we're going to have an image box div. No. Let's say dot image box. So inside our image box, we're going to have an image tag, and so we're going to say images, the icon, brand recognition. So we'll just say brand recognition. Yes. Yeah, so we'll come out of this div, and we're going to have an h3 tag here. I'll call that brand recognition, and I'm also going to have an h5 here. So inside our h5, we're going to have we're going to come in here into our text and copy this. Come here, paste this. So let's add a breakpoint here. And also want to have another breakpoint here. Okay. Let me also add another breakpoint here. Yeah, so we're good. Yeah, so that's what we want. So I can collapse this card here. So I can just copy this and paste twice, one, or rather two times, two. So for the next here, for the second card, I will copy this here, detailed records, and I will paste this here, and for this, the h5, I'll copy this, paste here, and let's not also forget to change our image here. So for this, we're going to say icon detail record SVG. So it's going to be the out to be detailed records. For the next, the third card, we'll call this icon fully customizable. So we'll just make this fully customizable, and this will be called fully customizable. And for h5, I can just come here, copy this, and index here, and paste. Yeah. So I'll save this, and I'll come back to our browser. So yeah, we have the structure of our HTML well here. So next, we're going to be writing. We're going to be using our styles, our CSS, to properly style this so it looks just like this. So we want it to look just like this. Okay. Yeah, so let's go into our style, the CSS, and let's have a section. We'll call this statistics section. So inside our statistics section, we're going to start. Yeah, so we have our statistics ID, and we're going to say, let's say the background. Let's make it a lighter gray, and let's add a padding of 100 pixels top and bottom, or rather 100 pixels top, 0 pixels right, 0 pixels left, and 0 pixels bottom, and 0 pixels left. So let's save this. Yeah. So we have this now. Let's come back here. We say statistics container. So let's do this. We say text align center, and yeah, let's save that and check. So it aligns all of this to the center. So next we would say color will be very dark blue. Yeah, so the color of our text here will be very dark blue. So you've done that. So next we're going to come into, we're going to say, I'm just going to copy this first. Statistics of container h5. Let's find some styles for h5. So color will be gray. Please call gray. So if we save this and go back, our h5, all the h5 inside of our statistics section will be gray. And we want the font size to be 14 pixels. 14 pixels. So yeah. So let's also create a card. So we say, I'll just save this container dot statistics content dot card. So here I'm going to have a border and say 1 pixels solid grayish violet. And say border radius of 4 pixels, and we're going to have a padding of 50 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. We're going to have a background. Let's make the background of our card, let's make it white. Then position, we don't need that for now. Let's say transition. We want our transition to be transform 0.3 seconds ease. I want our width to the width of our card to be 300 pixels. So let's save this and come here. So we see our card here. See our border here. So the next thing we're going to do is let's add some styles to our statistic content div. So I'll come here, say dot statistics contents. So inside of this, we're going to say let's display this in a grid. We save this. It doesn't show yet because we've not set our template columns. So we're going to set our grid template columns, and we say repeat 3 author. We save this. So it occupies 3 columns. Author here implies it takes the appropriate space within that particular div. Next, we're going to justify the content to the center. So when we do that, it comes together. Next, we're going to have a margin, and that margin will be 60 pixels top, 250 pixels left, 0 pixels bottom, 100 pixels left. So if we save this and check here, and we go back to say let's have a padding on the bottom of that particular div. Padding bottom, let's have 150 pixels. Then gap will be 20 pixels. So yeah, so this is what we have now. Now let's add some images here. So we see statistics. Just come here and do this. Container dot statistics content dot card image. So we target the images, and we say position absolutes. First, before we do that, so we want to put this image here. We want to position them here. So to be able to do that, if we come into here, we see that our images are inside something that looks like a div that is rounded. So let's first, instead of doing this first, let me take this out first. Let's target our image box first. So inside our image box, let's say our background color. We call that dark violet, and let's make our border radius 50%, and let's make our width 70 pixels. Let's make our height 70 pixels. Let's say position absolutes. Or first, let's leave that for now. We say and check. Come to our website. So we see this. So it doesn't have the background color hasn't changed yet. So let's save this and see why. Let's refresh. Okay. Come here and say grayish violet. Yes. So let's say very dark violet. Oh, that's not the color we want. Dark violet works. Well, let's come into our roots and see why dark violet. Okay, yeah, so this is it. This is the error we have here. Take that out. Save this. Yeah. We're good. So we want to position this image inside of this div. I want to position this div on this card. How do we do all of that? The first thing we're going to come do here is we're going to go back to our container, into our card. Let's go back into our card. Let's scroll down to our card here. I'm going to say position relative. Okay. So after doing that, the next thing we're going to do is let me just add a transition of transform 0.3 seconds is yes. Let's just save that. Now let's come into our, our image box. So if we go back, that's what we want to do. So let's come to our image box. We want to position it at this point here. So let's say position absolute. Since we've declared relative position on the child, or rather on the parent of this image box, because the parent of the image box is the card. That is why we declared our position as relative here. So relative to this card, move this image box. That's what we're doing. So that's why we're setting this to absolute, and we'll say top say minus 35 pixels, and left we say 10%. We save that, and we see it's positioned just on top of our card. I want to position the image properly, so we're going to come on our image. We haven't created that yet, so let's create this first. The statistics content dot card image. So inside of this we'll say position absolute. I'll say top 15 pixels, top left 20%. Then we'll say our width will be 40 pixels. Save that. We see that it is properly positioned. Yeah, so let's move ahead. Let's add some styles to our H statistics content H5. We say our font size will be 12 pixels. Color will be gray, and text align will be justify. Then padding will be 0 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. So we save that and we go back and we see our H5 here has been justified, and padding applied on both left and right. So next we're just going to come here, just say container dot statistics content dot card h3. So we're going to target the h3 inside the tag. So we're going to say font size 15 pixels. Then color will be dark, very dark violet, and text align will be justified, and padding will be 10 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. So we save that and we come back here. So we see our H3 is properly aligned. So the next thing we're going to do is I want the second and the third cards to I want them to move down a bit. So I want this detail records card to move down a bit. I also want the fully customizable card to move down a bit. So how do we do that? So we're going to be doing that using pseudo classes. So I'm going to paste this container dot statistics content dot card. So we're going to be using nth child, the nth child pseudo class. So we're going to target the first child, which is this one here. So I'm going to say transform. We translate to the y axis. We make that 0 pixels. So we check, nothing changes. Now, to make sure this works, you need to come into the card style here and make sure you have a transition as transform 0.3 pixels 0.3 seconds is here. So next, I can just copy this, all of this here, and just paste. Instead of 1, I'll make it 2. So for our second child, we'll say transform. Will be translate to the y-axis. Just give me at 30 pixels. So we save this. We see this moves down a bit. So then we're going to also have we'll just copy paste this. So the third child will be transform. So we'll just translate to the y-axis, 60 pixels. So we save this. We see it moves down a bit. Yeah, so that's what we want to have. So the next thing I want to do here is I want to, that is after this, you can check this, we have this here, this here. So I want to add this. And how do we do that? We're also going to be making use of pseudo classes. So it's going to be a pseudo element on the pseudo class. So a pseudo element on the pseudo class. So I'm going to paste this. So on child 2. So on child 2. So after, I'm going to say contents here, and let's make our width 8%, and height will be 8 pixels. Background will be it's not color, just background will be var cyan, and position will be absolute, and bottom will be 130 pixels. Left will be minus 22 pixels. We'll save this and we see this here. So we'll also copy this and target the third end card, the end child. Just after that, we're going to say contents this width of 8 pixels, or rather width of 8%, height of 8 pixels. Have our background, we'll call that cyan. Then position will be absolute. Then bottom 120 pixels, and left will be minus 22 pixels. So save this. It doesn't show yet. Yeah, so we have to change the end child to third. Save this. We show. So now, if you check closely, you see that this and this are about the same style. So instead of having two styles defined there, we can just cut this, add a comma here, paste, and we can clear this and save. Yeah, we have that. So we look good on this end. So yeah, that's about what we get here. So this is looking very clean, very clean. So next, if we come back here, let's have this one next. Our next section, we're going to be building this part here. So this is going to overlap between these two sections. So we're going to be looking into how we're going to do this. So there's quite some logic here on how it works. So just stay tuned for the next section. Okay, so for our URL shortening section, where it overlaps between the hero section and the statistics section. So we're going to be performing some linear gradients here to make it work the way we want it. So we want to make it look this way, and so we're just going to get started with that. So first, let's go to our HTML here. So we have our URL Shortener section. So inside of here, we're going to have a div. It's going to be, I'll just say URL Shortener. URL Shortener. Our class will be section padding, and we're going to have a container. So inside of our container, we're going to have an input text, an input box. So it's going to be of type text, and the placeholder here will just be shorten your link here. Yeah. So after this, we're also going to have a button of type of class BTN, and here we just say shorten it. Yeah, that's that's all for HTML here, and we can go back to our site here. See, so we have our input here, and we have our button positioned here. So let's make it look static. Let's go into our CSS file, and we have our URL shortener section here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to target the URL shortener. So we're going to say position absolute. Now we want to position it in between the hero section and the statistics section. So let's come into our hero section here. We're going to go into our hero section, and we're going to say something here. We're going to say position relative. We'll save that, and we'll come back here. So we've done that. So next, we can say left 50%. Okay. And top 92%. And we're going to transform that div so that it occupies 50% of the hero section and 50% from the advanced statistic section. So say transform, and we're going to translate minus 50% and minus 50%. So we're translating in 2 dimensions here. So what this will do, it will center that div and pull it up by 50% of its height. So that's why we define the height of the what's it called, the hero section. So next we're going to say let's have a background color of dark violet. Next, let's have a background image. First, let's just see how it looks like first. Okay, so we see it looks like this. So the next thing we're going to do is so you see that it takes 50% here, 50% here, and it centers it properly. We're going to add a background image. So see background image URL. Images bg boost desktop svg. Save this, we go back, we can see our image here. So we're going to add some width so that we can see how it looks like properly. So, but before we do that, let's just come here and say background repeats. Background repeat, we say set it to no repeats, and we say background position, we say center, then background size, we want it to cover. Let's set the padding to 30 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. So we set it, and let's set the border radius to be 10 pixels and a gap of 10 pixels. And let us align. First, let's display flex. So inside of that div, and the gap will be 10 pixels. And we can align items center. Then let's make our width 90%. Yes. So we're also going to set the z-index to 2. Because we want that particular div to be on top of every other element. So we set it to 2. So we save this. Yeah, it's looking good. We just need to style the components inside of URL instead of the div container. So next, we're going to see URL Shortener container. So we want the container to take 100% of its width. So we say 100%. We save that. It takes 100% of its width. Next, we say URL Shortener container input. So let's target the input, and let's say padding, we want 15 pixels top and bottom, 10 pixels left and right. We want a margin of 0 pixels top, 10 pixels right, 0 pixels bottom, and 30 pixels left. Width of 70%, and we don't want an outline. And we're going to have a border radius of let's say 4 pixels, and we don't want the border to show, so put border none. So we save that, and it looks like this. Next, let's style our button. So we do hash URL shortener container button. So we can say padding 13 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right, and give us a border radius of 4 pixels. We save that, and it's looking good. Let's also set the hover. So say hash URL shortener container button hover. So when we hover on our button, what do we want? Let's filter the brightness by 1.15, and we save. Yeah, so when we hover on our button, it changes that. So I think it looks about what we have here. So let's set a max width to a lot bigger. So let's just set a max width here. Say max width of, what do we do? 700 pixels. Save that. Yeah, so I think it looks better now. Yeah, so that's it for our URL Shortener section. So we're looking good. Our next section, just after our statistics section, I want to call that the call to action section. So I'll just come here and do this. I'll say call to action section. I don't know how it sounds. I think we're good. So section, we're gonna have an ID called that get started, and we're gonna have a class, say section padding. So inside our section, we're gonna have a container. Inside our container, we're gonna have an h2. We say boost your links today. So after h2, we're gonna have a button of class btn, and inside the button we say get started. We save this and we go back and check. Yeah, so we have this here. So let's style this. Let's come to our styles, the CSS, and just after our URL Shortener section, let's have another one, say get started section. So inside of our get started section, uh, we're going to add some styles that get started here. We say background color will be var dark violet, and our color will be #ff white. Then background image will be URL images bg boost desktop, and let's set the background repeats to be no repeats, and background position to be center, and our background size will be cover. So let's save this and come back here. So we see we have a beautiful looking get started section. So let's style the elements inside of our section. So first I'll say get started container, the class, with display flex, and flex direction will be colon so that they stack on top of each other. So if we save this and check, we see they stack on top of each other. Now let's justify the contents to the center. We save. We've justified our contents. Now let's align the items on the center so that this button and this H2 tag here is properly positioned. So we say align items center. Yes. And next we're gonna add a padding. We'll say 20 pixels top, 0 pixels right, 40 pixels bottom, and 0 pixels left. So save that, and we see we have some padding on top and at the bottom. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to target the button. We're going to style our button. So I'll just copy this and just come and paste and target the button. So inside of our button, I'm going to say let's have a padding of 10 pixels top and bottom. Then 35 pixels left and right. So our button looks quite nice. Let's add a margin on top of the button. So we say margin top. Let's say 10 pixels. So we see there's a margin between the button and the H2 tag here. And let's also add a pseudo element, a hover pseudo element here. So when we hover on that button, we want to filter the brightness by 1.15. Save this. So when we come here, yeah. So we're good with this section. So next, we're going to be working on our footer. So that's what we're going to be doing next. So we're going to be working on our footer. So let's come back to our HTML, and we can say, call this footer section. So in our footer section, we're going to have a tag, a footer tag, and we're going to have a class on that footer tag. We'll say section padding. We open this, and then we're going to have a container. And inside our container, we're going to have another div. We're going to call that footer logo. Now, if we come into our image here and check our logo, we can see our logo is a dark SVG logo, but we want a white logo. Now, if we try to use our CSS to try to style the color of our logo, it won't work. It doesn't work for SVG. So how do we solve this problem? So one way to solve this is you come here. So let's scroll up to the top here. Let's inspect this item here. You know, we already have a logo on our top here. So I'll come here and I want to try to go here. So I'm waiting for the styles to just pop open. I want to go to that logo, and there's something I need to do inside of it. I'll say it's taking some time to, I think it's up. So let's go to this logo here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to inspect this. Now, I'm going to copy all of this, everything inside of this. So I'm going to just do, so I'll just copy everything here, Control C, come back here into our index file here, and I'll paste this. It's crazy, but that's about the only way it was going to work. So let's come into our footer. Let's close this. Let's go into our footer. So we see that our logo is still black, but we want it to be white, just like what we have here. So what do? We go back into our HTML file, and inside the path, instead of having this here, we're going to have FF and save. And we're going to scroll down. So it's the color of our tag has actually, or rather of our logo has changed, but because the background is a white background, that is why it is like this. So we're going to correct that, but not now. So let's just go back to our HTML, and let's collapse our SVG here. And so the next thing we're going to do now is, after this div, we're going to collapse this footer logo div here. We're going to have another div. We're going to call that footer links. So instead of our footer links div, I'm going to have an h5 here, so I'll call that features, and I'm going to have another UL, another list, and inside this list we're going to have an a tag here, hash, then we're going to say link shortening. So I'll just copy this 2 times, or rather copy and paste 2 times. Copy this, paste, paste. Instead of link shortening, we can have branded links. Next, we would have analytics. Save this. We come back here. So we have it here. So let's just copy this div and paste 2 times. 1, 2. I'll just copy this again and paste 1 more time. So for the next one, we're going to have, we're going to call this resources. And inside our resources, we're going to have blog. Then we're going to have developers. Then we're going to have support. And on the last one here, we're going to have this as company. And we're going to have this as about. And have our team. Then we can have contacts. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, so we're good now. So let's save this and let's try to check. So we have this here. Now we're going to be styling, or rather, I think we need to have something, one more item here, and that will be our social links. So I'm going to create another div. So I'll call that social links, and we'll have a UL here. Then we'll have an li, and inside our li, we're going to have an a tag, hash, and inside our a tag, we're going to have an image, and the source of the image will be images. The first one will be Facebook SVG. I'll just set it out to Facebook. The next one will be an li, a tag, image. Let's call this Twitter. Call that Twitter. The next one, li, a tag, hash. It's going to be an image tag. Say images. We'll call it Pinterest or Pinterest. Pinterest. Next, we'll have another li, a tag, an image here, source images, and the last one will be Instagram. Say Instagram. So we save this and we go back to our here and just scroll down. So we can't see that image here because of the background of our footer, but we're going to be resolving all of that very soon. So I'm going to come into our styles, the CSS here, and I would say let's have a footer section. So instead of our footer section, we have our footer, and let's change the background color. Let's make it very dark blue and save. So when we save, we can now see our logo and our social links. So after that, let's come here, container. So inside our container, let us display them as grid. We say grid templates columns. We do repeats 5 1FR. So give me 5 columns, let them occupy 1 fractional unit. So that's what we're going to do. So if we save this, it does that here. So the next thing we're going to do is say footer.container. The footer links, the anchor tag. We'll change the color to gray. Let's change the color to gray, and let our font size be 14 pixels. So we'll come back here. We've changed that so you can see how it looks. So let's also add some styles on our H5 tag footer links H5. So next we're going to do is we'll change the color, we'll make it white, and let's have the margin on the bottom, make it 5 pixels on the bottom. Let's make our font weight 700, and the font size will be 18 pixels. So we save that. We can see this looks good, or rather it's looking good. So footer.container footer links URL Li. So when we hover on, we are adding a pseudo element. So when we hover on our A tag, we want the color to change to cyan. So we save this. So when we hover on this, we see it changes on its active state. And what do we do next? So we say footer.container footer links URL. So we want a padding of 5 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. So we have some sort of padding in between the LIs. So next we'll say footer.container social links URL. So let's display as a grid, and if we display as a grid, if we save now, we see it hasn't displayed in a row because grid defaults to columns, or rather the grid defaults to rows. Why that is defaults to rows, a single row, or rather the number of elements, it occupies rows in number of elements but in a single column. So to make it appear in 4 columns, we say grid templates columns. So we repeat 4 auto. We save that and we see it appears good. So next we're going to say footer.container social links li, or rather URL li the image. So the image inside of it, we want to add a transition of 0.3 seconds easing out. So we say footer.container social links URL li. So when we hover on the image, We want the background color to change. Call that cyan. And we want the border radius to be 50%. Then we want a border of 1 pixel solid cyan. Let's save this. So if we hover here, we see the image changes and all of that. So we're looking good here. We're looking good here. So we can also add a padding or a margin on the bottom. Or rather a padding on the bottom to increase that. So let's just come here, say, so on our footer container, let's add a padding, 20 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. Save that. Oh, okay, no, it's not here. It's supposed to be on directly on the container. From here. So yeah, so we see that we have a padding from the edge of the container to elements here. So we're good. So that's everything we wanted to do here. So we see we have a nice looking desktop uh, page. Looks really nice. But when we try to, if we have this on an iPad screen, we see it doesn't look as nice as we want it to. So we're going to resolve all of this using media queries. And so stay tuned to the next section. Yeah, so in this section, we will be adding media queries. We'll be working on media queries. So media queries allows us to properly position our elements depending on the screen size. So we have an iPad tablet screen. So this is how our websites will look on an iPad screen. So we see that some of the elements inside of our HTML are not properly positioned here. So like this, we can't even see our logo, and this looks all scrambled together. And to resolve all of that, I'm just going to come here and inspect here. So the first thing I'm going to say is on our nav section. So on this container, I'm going to just copy this, and I'm going to come here and I'll paste this here. So I'll save this. Now I want to make some changes. Instead of the content to be justified, the space between, I just want to say center. I don't think I need this. I don't think I need this too. So I'll just save, and I can see it justifies it to the center, but our logo still doesn't show. So I can come here inside this and copy our CSS rule here, and just after here, I'll paste it here. And for our logo here, we are making this a grid. So I'm going to change this to a flex. And just take this out. Then justify contents will be space between. And I'm going to add the margin to the left. Margin left. And margin left will be 10 pixels. So I'll come back here. And I can see our logo shows here because we've adjusted. Our logo was previously a grid, we made it a flex, and our logo now shows. And another thing is when working with media queries, you need to know how to change styles on your developer console. Like it's a no-brainer. If you want to get better writing, clean, responsive CSS, then you need to know how to change stuff even without going to your code editor. You need to know how to change styles right on the browser. So that's one thing here. And looking at our nav links here, I can open this, I can check. So what I want to do here is it's a grid here, but let's change it to a flex and see how it works. So let's make it a flex. Let's add another stuff here. Say space. I'll call that justify content space between, and it doesn't need a gap. So take this out. Um, I also think we don't need, let's say margin left. Margin left should be 10 pixels. I think, okay. So I think it's looking, uh, I think it's looking better here. It's looking better here. So I can copy this style here and come back here and paste. So I don't think I need uh, this here, this here, save. Yeah, so we have display flex, space between, and margin left. So let's also come here. It's still kind of squashed together. Okay. Um, I think let's add a margin to the right here. So instead of having margin left, I can just do this and say 0 top and bottom, 10 pixels left and right. And I see it's properly positioned. So we're looking good. So next, yeah, we're good on our nav section. Now on our hero section, I would like to reduce the font size of our H1. So I can just copy this here. Or let's see how it looks like. The font size here is 58. Let's make this 30. 30 pixels look good. Let's make the line height 40. Yeah, I think it looks better now. So let's just copy this. Yes. And paste. Since we are not making any change to the color, we can take this out. We save this. Yeah, so it's looking okay. Let's also make changes to the H5. H5 is 18 pixels here. Let's make it 12 and see how it looks. Yeah, 12 looks a lot better. So let's copy this. 12 pixels. So yeah, we're good. And also the height of our hero section is really, it looks too long. So we're going to reduce that. So we're just going to say hero height will be 40 VH. So yeah, so the position of our shortener has changed because it's no longer, it's still relative to the desktop section. So how do we change that? We're going to do that here. So I'm going to say, let's come into, let's just make changes to our button first, and then we can say that change. So say um, hero or container dot hero content. the button, let's say padding 10 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right, and let's add a margin of 15 pixels to the top. Margin top 15 pixels. Save that, and yeah, looking good. So let's work on our URL shortener. So let's come here. If we inspect this, our URL shortener here, let's make the top 47 pixels, 47%. Yeah, so if we do that, it positions it properly, and we're just going to add a padding of 20 pixels top and bottom. 20 pixels top and bottom. Yeah, so I think those are what we need to change. So I'll just copy this. Looks okay. Copy the rule, apply it. So the only thing we changed here was the padding and the top here. So every other thing we didn't change, so we don't need that. So we save that. So it looks good. And the button also here, let's make some small slight changes on the button. I'll say button. So on the button, we can say padding, let's say 9 pixels top and bottom, 20 pixels left and right. So we save, you see it looks a lot, it shrink a bit. Then we can also do the same for our inputs. So copy this, instead of padding, we can call this inputs. So for our inputs, let's make it 10 pixels top and bottom, 10 pixels left and right. Save that. Yeah, so it's looking clean here. And so next, let's work on our statistics section. Let's come here, statistics section here. Let's scroll up. Yeah, statistics. So we see our padding. Our padding is 100 pixels to the top. So let's just make it 60. 60. Yeah, 60 is fair. And yes. So let's just copy this rule. Yes, 60. We don't need this. 60 pixels. So yeah, looks good. And next, we'll come to the statistic content. So we have these cards, they are not properly positioned, and so let's resolve that issue. So for the statistic content, let's say we have a margin 60 pixels top. Let's make this 0. 0 pixels right, 0 pixels bottom, and 0 pixels left. I think that would make it a lot better. So let's copy this, copy that. Okay, come here, paste. I think the only thing we changed here. Yeah, so next, let's make the width of our card smaller. So the width here is 300 pixels. Let's make it 200 pixels. If we make it, yeah, 200 pixels, I think 220 or 200. 200 pixels looks okay. Make it 210. I'll just want 200 pixels. I think 200 pixels looks good. So I'll just copy the style here, copy rule. I'll come back here, paste. So the only thing I changed here was the width So I don't need every other thing here, just the width. So we save this, and our cards are looking really clean, really clean. And I can see our pseudo class are not properly positioned. I think it's slacking a bit. So I'll just come here on the card section. So on the second div, I'll come into the after here. So we have this as the width as 8%. Let's make it 11 and see how it looks like. So 11 does the job fine. So I can just copy this and paste here. Save. I think the only thing I changed here was the width, so I can take this others out. They would still apply. Yeah, so I think we're good. Yeah, so I think that's about everything. Every other thing looks good. So our iPad screen is now responsive. So next will be, let's check out our mobile screen, iPhone 14 Pro Max. Yeah. So our mobile screen is looking very funny, very funny. So we're going to be adding some styles here and make it a lot cleaner and stuff. So first, I'm going to come here. I want to adjust the padding on all the sections. So I'll come into our styles here. So I'll say dot section padding. Say padding 40 pixels top, 10 pixels right, 0 pixels bottom, 20 pixels left. So I save this. Say I've reduced the padding on the sections, on all the sections. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to say nav.container the logo UL. So I'm going to say display none. So I don't want to display this too. So I'll do the same for the nav links. I'll say nav dot container dot nav links main. So if I save this, everything here is out. I just have the logo. Now I'm going to add a hamburger icon here. So the hamburger icon will allow me to get every other thing I've taken out, all those links. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to go back to my HTML page or file. Inside our navbar, I'm going to open our navbar and I'm going to collapse this nav links here. So we have the logo and the nav links main inside of our container in our navbar. So now I want to add the hamburger button. So how am I gonna do that? Just below the nav links main div, let me just say call this hamburger button. So for hamburger button, we have this button here, and the button we have a class called hamburger button. So inside the button, we're going to have three divs. So we're going to have, we're going to call that hamburger line. So I can just copy this to 3. So I can save this, and just below this button, I'm going to have our div, and it's going to be our mobile menu. So I'll say mobile menu. So inside our mobile menu, I'll have an unordered list. And inside the unordered list, I'll have a list item. I'll have an A tag H. Then I'll call this, I'll just say this will be features. Features. I can copy this and paste 2 times. And this will be pricing. And this will now be resources. Okay, I think I need some other ones. So I'll copy paste this. I'll call this login, and I'll call this sign up. Yes, so I'll save that and I'll go check. So yeah, we can see those icons, or rather those elements we've just created now. And so we're going to have, we're not seeing a hamburger icon here because we've not added the styles for that yet. And so, but we're going to see that very soon. So we're going to be defining all of that here. So let's scroll. Let's go to our styles, the CSS file. So just below our footer, I would say call this hamburger button. So inside our hamburger button, remember we have the hamburger button class. So inside our button class, I'll say display as none. So we don't want to display that in our desktop screen. And let the background also be none. And let the border be none too. Then the cursor, let the cursor be a pointer. And padding, let's make a padding 10 pixels, top, right, bottom, and left. Then z-index, want it to be on top of every element in the viewport, so make it 1000. And margin bottom, we say 30 pixels. So we save this and let's work on the hamburger line. So we say hamburger button dot hamburger line. So for this, we'd say let the width be 30 pixels. Let the height be 3 pixels. Let the background be hash 33. Then the margin be 6 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. Let's save that. Now, there's a reason why we are not seeing it here. And I'm going to be explaining why. So let's just collapse this and see. So we see that we have this here. Now we don't want to see this. This shouldn't appear. This shouldn't appear when we're on our desktop screen. So we're going to be making some changes to that for now. So let's just have another, let's say hamburger line dot disabled. So we're going to be using this in our JavaScript to disable the hamburger icon when it is opened. So we're going to say background will be white. This is not really the ideal way we're going to do it, but it takes a lot of time to make that thing look a lot aesthetic. But for this video, I'll be leaving it out. You can also add that if you want to. So I'm going to be doing this now. So we disabled here. So next, let's have our mobile menu for our mobile screen. So we say this, say mobile menu. So let's target our mobile menu div. So inside that, here we have a position called fixed. So we want it to be fixed where? Fixed on the top, 0, and right, we want it to be minus 300 pixels. Then let's have a width of 250 pixels. That's the width of our mobile menu will be 250 pixels. Then the height should be 100%. That is, it covers all of the page, or rather all of that div where it is fixed on. And then we have the z index to be 100. So it should just be above every other element inside of the HTML page. So next we'll have background. So the background of our mobile menu should be white. Then let's have a box shadow. So the shadow between the edge of our mobile menu. So we say 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 0 pixels, 10 pixels, 10 pixels left. RGBA, you say 0, 0, 0, 0.2. So then let's have a transition of right, transitions to the right, 0.3 seconds, easing out. Yeah, so come back, it doesn't still appear, and let me make that appear. So let me say, call this 0, save, so it appears. So this is how we want it to. So you can see there's a box shadow here. Now let's style this to make it look a lot attractive. So I can say dot mobile menu UL. So target all the list items there. So let's have a margin to the top, say 100 pixels. Then let's add the padding to the right, so it doesn't appear on the edge of the mobile menu. So say 5 pixels. Then let's have a margin to the left, 20 pixels. 20 pixels. So let's save that and check. Yeah, so it's coming along. So let's also have another style. Let's add it on the UL. So mobile menu UL li. So let's have a margin in between the lists, 20 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. So we see properly spaced. Let's also come down here. Let's say mobile menu, target the UL li, the anchor tag. So let's increase the font size. Let's the font size be 20 pixels, and let the transition be 0.3 seconds. Save that. Yes. So whenever we open, it will transition and it will show all of this. So it's looking good. Let's also add something here. I'll say mobile. This will be for our JavaScript, the active. So when the mobile menu or the hamburger icon is clicked, this will happen. It will make the right 0. So save this. Now let's take this out first. So let's have this as minus 300 pixels. Save that. Save. it goes out. Here, so let's go back to our mobile screen. So we don't have our hamburger icon just yet. And let's see. So inside of our navbar, we can open our navbar inside of the container. Now the hamburger icon doesn't show. We want the hamburger icon to show only when we are on our mobile screen. So we're just going to add that right away. So let's come into, let's come in here. Let's go back to our styles, scroll down. Let's go to our mobile screen. Yeah, so inside of our mobile screen, we want to say nav.container.hamburger button should only be evident on our mobile screen. So say display block. So we check, we can see it here. So it's looking good. Now let's add some, let's justify the contents. And so our logo and our hamburger button don't look squished together. So we say nav container, justify content, should be space between. So let's save that and see it is space between. And let's also increase the size of our hero section. Say hero, let's make the height 70 VH. So yeah, it's pretty down here. Now let's make the container a grid. Now this is all together. So if we check here, let's inspect that item here. So inside our container is a flex. Is a flex. So we want it to be a grid so we can position it one, the image on one and the other content on another column. So let's do that here. So let's come here. So on our hero container, I'm just going to copy, let me just copy the rule. I can come here, I can make this a grid. If I make this a grid, it's position it, yes. So you see the content comes first and the image comes down here. So I'll just say grid template columns 1FR. Save that. Yeah, still there. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to align the text center. So the text are now aligned center. So the next thing is I want the image to come before this particular content. So how do I do that? I'm going to order the image. So let's do this. So I'm going to say hero dot container dot hero image. I want to change the order. I want it to come first. That's one. Then I want the content hero dot container dot hero content. I want that the order to be 2. So if I save that, I see that the image comes now before the content. So next, I'm going to be styling our URL shortener. So I'll say URL shortener. Let the top be 84% and let the background image be URL images slash images slash bg boost mobile svg. Yes, so if I save this, Yeah, so it changes the color, or rather the background of our URL Shortener div. Now let's come here and say, just copy this first. Yeah, so it's copied. Come here, dot container, button. So the button, let's say margin 10 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels right, 0 pixels bottom, 35 pixels left. So we save this. See, our button is positioned. So let's also do that for, I think we're good here. We're looking okay now. So let's do some positioning for our URL shortener. I think, yeah, so we've positioned that, but let's position our statistics session. So let's say, let me add some width to the button. So width, let me make it 72%. Yes, it's positioned well. And okay. So next, let's start working on our statistics section. So for our statistics section, we say hash statistics dot container h5. So our container, let's text align that to center. So we check, it aligns our h5 here to the center. And let me just copy this first. Our container. Let's come down here and say paste this container dot statistics content dot card h3. So I would say text align center. So let's also add another here, container dot statistics content h5. So align that to the center. So all of them are all aligned to the center here. Now let's us start working on our content div. So we say this container dot statistics content. So we make the display a grid. So if we make that a grid, we want to position them on top of each other. So we say um, grid template columns auto. So if we save this, we see it will stack on top of each other. And then we add a margin to the top. Let's see, margin to the top, 30 pixels. So next, we can now work on the card. So statistics content dot card width of 300 pixels, then margin top of 30 pixels. Okay, so what we did here is we reduced the size of, or rather increased the size of our card, and then the margin to the top. So on top, each of the cards will have a margin to the top of 30 pixels space. So next, let's align our image box. So I'll just come copy this, paste your card, and dot image box. So to the left, I'll make it 35% to the left. Save that. So it is positioned at the center of the card. And I also want the, what's it called? I also want the after pseudo classes, that is on the pseudo elements, to be positioned just at the center. So how do I do that? I'm just going to come here, the card, so the nth child, that's the second child, and the second child, then the pseudo class on the pseudo element, which is after. So after that, we say width of 8 pixels, height of 21 pixel or 21%, and bottom 250 pixels, and left 135 pixel. Save that. We see it's properly positioned. So let's position this other one here. So let me try and use the same, see if it works fine. Come here, make it 3. Oh, it's not properly positioned. Okay, so let me come here, cut this, and paste this. Check. Let's say a width of 8 pixels. Let's check height of 21%, and bottom 249 pixel, and left 135 pixel. So we save this, still about the same thing. We need to check why. Well, let's drop the bottom. Let's say 245. Let's say 250. Okay. Dot card ends child 3. Save this. Let me see. Okay. 240. 239. Height, let's make it 22%. Make it 23. Change 24. Okay. So I think we're looking good. So if I try to refresh this, still positioned. So let's say 40 to 30. So let's try to refresh. Okay, let's try to inspect statistic contents. Open this on the third card, just after. Okay, so 249. 249. Height 21. So it works. So let's copy this here and paste. So let's save. So it's spinning to the top, bottom of 245. Two four nine. So yeah, we're we're looking good. So let's try to refresh this. Yes, so I think we're good now. So we're good now. And so next, looking at our footer, we would need to make some changes here to make our footer look a lot nice. So let's come back to our styles. Say footer dot container. So inside our container, let's make it a flex item. And let's say flex direction colon. Let's justify the content center. Let's align the items center. So let's save, come here. So we've done that here. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say footer dot container dot footer links URL. We're going to add a padding and say 5 pixels top, 0 pixels left, right, 0 pixels bottom, 0 pixels left. So we are going to have a margin bottom to be 20 pixels, and we display this as a flex, and the flex direction here will be colon, and align items center. And yeah, so let's save that and see. So we see it's aligned. So let's come back here and say footer dot container dot footer links h5, and say text align center. And yeah, so if we align the text to the center, so it is aligned to the center. So the text, the h5 here are aligned to the center. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say footer.container dot social links UL. We're going to target the social links. So we're going to display them as a flex, and justify content will be center, and have a gap of 20 pixels. So if we come down here, we can see that our social links are justified to the width of that container, and it is this flex item. So next, or lastly, I can say footer.container dot social links the ULLI anchor tag text align to the center. So we save this, we see that our anchor text align to the center. We don't really need this because there are no text, so save, just doesn't change anything. Yeah. So yeah, that's about what we need to do, and we're looking good. We're looking good. Let's come here, check. Let's inspect our input here. and we have a padding. If I make this is padding to the right. Let's make this, no, let's make this 25. Oh, let's make this 35 and make this 15. Okay, make this 10. And let's say this will be 15, 16, 18. So let's make this, just make this 10. Okay, so let's copy this row here. Let's just come, I think it's on our URL shortener inputs. Save this. So let's say padding of 2F 19. Okay, let's just make this 10. Then the width here originally is 70%. Let me make the width 75% and see. Yes, it covers, let me say 72%. Yes, I think it's better like this. So yeah, it's looking good, and it's looking good. So let's add. So we have this here. Let's scroll down here. So in our statistics section, if we add a padding, say 90 or 100, yeah, so let's increase the padding. Copy the row here. I think statistics, scroll down here. Yeah, so save this. Yeah, so it looks good. Now, if we click on our nav or hamburger icon, it doesn't show anything just yet. So we're going to do that using our JavaScript. So we're going to start working with our JavaScript right about now. Now, in this section, we're going to be writing our JS, our JavaScript. And so first, if we go back to our screen, you can see we have a nav bar here. When we click on this nav bar, it does nothing, or rather on this hamburger icon, it does nothing. So we want this to bring out our main menu. So how do we do that? We do that using JavaScript. So JavaScript is going to add some interactivity to our website. So let's go back to our project, our code editor. And inside of our JS file, we have a main.js file. And we're going to come into our index.html file, which we're already here. And inside of the body at the tail end, we're going to add a script tag, script. And inside of script, we're going to have a src. And it's going to be the directory of our JS file. We're going to save that. And inside of our main.js file, so for the mobile menu, so we're going to say document.add event listener. So we're going to listen on an event. So whenever the DOM, which is the document object model, is loaded, we want to do something. So whenever the DOM is loaded, so let's do DOM content loaded. So whenever the DOM is loaded, we'll take a function. It's an arrow function. So here we say we get whenever the page is loaded. So what we first is we get the hamburger button. And how do we get that? Say document dot query selector. So we find a class that has this hamburger button. So next we do is we're going to get the main menu also, main menu. So document dot query selector, and we get the mobile menu. And I also want to get another one, the hamburger line. And I say document.query selector all, because we have about 3 hamburger lines. So we want to select all the hamburger lines. So we say dot hamburger line. So next we say let's add an event listener to the hamburger button. So say hamburger button dot add event listener. So whenever the hamburger icon is clicked, so when there's a click action, we're going to perform an operation. So whenever there's a click action, we say mobile, or let me change this to mobile menu. Mobile menu. So we say mobile menu dot class list. So we want to toggle on the active class. So we created a style for that mobile menu. So we want to toggle that on. So we'll toggle what? We'll toggle on active, the active class. So if we do this and we go back to our here and we click on it, yeah, so we can see that it toggles on this. So if we close this, it closes back. We do this, it toggles on, close back, toggles on. So we're good. So next, I also want to remove this particular icon when it is toggled on. So I can come here and say hamburger line dot for each. We are selecting all the hamburger lines. So for each hamburger line, so I'm going to say for each line, let's do something. So for each line, let us remove let us toggle off the display. So we say disabled. So we save this and try to refresh. So if we click on this, it toggles on and it doesn't show. Yeah, so that's what we wanted to do. So there are other things you can actually do here, like when this toggles on, you can add another X, what's it called? You can add an X element, an element that looks like X. So 2 lines that translates, you do some sort of animation to translate it. And so let me check here. I can see let us do this. So if we do 30 pixels, 50. Okay. So let's come here. Let's go back to our styles. Let me come back here. Okay. So we have, let me make top Let me make it 40 pixels top. Let's say 50. So it's okay. Save this. Okay. Now let's set margin. Okay. So instead of doing this, let's just say margin 50 pixels top, 20 pixels right, 20 pixels bottom, 20 pixels left. So save this, and I think we're good. It looks a lot better. Okay. So close this. And so our hamburger icon works. We're good. So I'm going to close this. We're back here. So now we want to shorten our URLs here. So because the project is a URL shortening website, so you can shorten links, maybe long and extended links, and you can shorten them. So we're going to do that just here. So for us to do that, let's go back to our HTML file, and let's go to our URL shortener. So on our inputs here, we're going to do something now. We're going to add an ID to our input. So say ID, let's call that URL input. Then for our button, we're going to have an ID also. We'll call this shortened BTN. We can save this, and let's go back to our main.js file. So in our main.js file, we're going to be shortening the links here. So first, what we are going to do now is let's add some styles. Oh, but before we do that, let's come into our statistics section. Let me scroll here. Statistics. So inside of our statistics section, just after our container div, we add another div. We call that shortened links. So this is where we want to add the content of our shortened links here. So I'm going to come into our styles, our style.css, and we're going to add our shortened links just here. So I think it's an ID. It's a class. Let's make this an ID. Style.css. So this is inside our statistics section. Let's have it inside statistics. So just below here, we can say statistics dot container hash shortened links. So for our shortened links, we say let's have a margin of 5 pixels top, 15 pixels right, 20 pixels bottom, yes, and 15 pixels left. Next, let's display flex, and the flex direction will be colon. We want them to stack on top of each other. Then we'll say align items to the center, and we'll justify content center also, and we have a gap of 10 pixels. Yeah. So next, we're also going to have a link item. All of these styles will be defined inside of our JavaScript. So, but we're going to have the styles here. So we say width of 50%, display flex, and justify content will be flex start. And let's have a link item dot link text. So here we say display will be a grid, and grid template columns will be 1FR 1FR auto. Then our background will be #f 0f 1f6. Then padding will be 12 pixels. And let's have a border radius of 8 pixels and a gap of 10 pixels. So the anchor tag on the link text, so link text anchor tag, we'll say color var cyan, and text decoration, we can set that as none. Save that, and next we're going to have a copy button, copy btn. So inside our copy btn, we can say background will be cyan. Background will be cyan, and color will be ash white, and border will be none. Padding will be 8 pixels padding. 8 pixels top and bottom, 12 pixels left and right. Then the border radius will be 5 pixels, and our cursor will be a pointer. Then whenever we click on the button, we want to do something. We want to say copy btn dot copied, and we change the background to be very dark violet. Save that. Yeah, so we're good. So let's go back to our main.js file. So we're going to be writing our JavaScript for shortening the links here. So we'll call this shortening links. So we'll say document.get element by ID. So we're going to get the shorten button, shortened btn, and we're going to add an event listener on that button. So whenever that button is clicked, whenever there's a click action on that button, let's do this. We're going to say const URL. We're going to get the URL from the input box. So document.get element by ID, the URL inputs, and we're going to get the value. And next, we'll say const link container. So let's get the link container. We'll say documents.get element by ID. We call that shortened links. So next, we're going to have a try catch here. This is going to catch error, which we're going to display later. So inside of this, we're going to say const. We're going to use a proxy URL because we get some cause error when we try to call the third-party API directly. CORE stands for cross origin resource, and so if you're trying to retrieve data from that API and there's a cause configuration on that API, we're going to have a 401 thereabout HTTP error. So in order to bypass that, we are using a proxy to make that call. So this is the URL of our proxy: https cause anywhere dot heroku.com. Yeah. So we also have our API URL. So this is the third-party API we'll be making the call to. So say it's equal to https cleanuri.com/API/v1/shorten. And yeah, so let's also have our response. So we'll make a fetch call. So we say proxy URL plus API URL. And let's have some things in the header. So we have the method is a post method. And the headers will be, let's add some stuff to the headers. So content type will be application slash x www form URL encoded. And the origin will be HTTP localhosts. Yes. So after the method and the headers, we will have the body. So the body will be this URL is equal to and encoded URI components. We pass in the URL. Yes, so we're good. Let's just add this here. So we'll get say const data is equal to await response.json. We'll get the JSON response. And we're gonna have a condition say if data dot result URL is not empty, what do? We'll create a div. We'll call that div link item. So we do document.create element. So what do we call that element? We call that element div. It's going to be a div, a link div, link item div. In that link item, we're going to link item.class name. So we're going to set the class name to be link item. And next, we're going to add some inner HTML. So we say inner HTML. So what is going to be inside of that div is what we're going to have here. So we're going to do this now. I'm going to say div class. The class of that link div is it's called the link text. So the link text then p, we're going to have a p paragraph task here, then it's going to take in the URL and close this. We're going to have an a tag, takes in the href. That's going to take in data.result URL. And our target will be this blank. And we can add a string literal data dot results URL, and we're going to close our a tag. Then we're going to have our button, and the class of the button will be copy button. copy button. We'll call that copy. Yes, button. Yeah. So let's close our div. We'll say div close. Yeah. So we've added our inner HTML. So we have some CSS styles. So you remember in our styles, we defined our link item tag styles. We also defined styles for copy button. Yeah. So next, we're going to, inside our link container, let's call that links container. So links, say links container. We're going to prepend. So what prepend does is it stacks the new link on top of the old one. If you append will stack it at the bottom of the old one. But we want to prepend, we want it to stack on top of the new one. So we're going to prepend the link item. And next, we want to save the link. So I'm going to have a function, let's just say save link, and it takes in two arguments, the URL and the shortened URL, data.result URL. So we're going to define that function later, but let's just continue. So whenever the button is clicked on, the copy button, copy btn. Okay, I think we've not created that yet. So let's say const copy btn is equal to the link item dot query selector copy btn. So here we say copy btn dot add event listener. So we'll add an event listener on the button when it is clicked. So when it is clicked, we're going to do something. So we're going to say navigator dot clipboard dot write text. So it's going to write, when we click on the copy button, it's going to write the shortened URL to the clipboard. So data.result URL. And next, we want to say copy button dot text content. We want the text content to change to words. We want it to change to copied. And we want to also add some styles. We want to add some styles, so that we're going to add a class to the link item, or rather to the copy button. So we say copy button dot class list dot add. So we're going to add this. We're going to say copied. So we're going to add that class list to the copy button div. So we're going to set a timeout. So we want whenever we click on the button, we want the background color of that button to change. So we're going to use a set timeout function. So we say set timeout here. You can say copy button dot text content. So we want the text content to change back to copy after 2 seconds. So we change back to copy. Then we'll remove the class list that we just added. So we remove the class list called copy. Okay. And let's not forget to make it, that will happen in 2 seconds, every 2 seconds. So if, that is, if it doesn't, if it fails, anything that fails, it will just return an alert on the screen. So it just say alert failed to shorten URL. So just keep it basic. You can do a lot of clean error handling here, but I'm not going to bother myself with that for now. So I can put on the console.error. We're going to say error. Yeah, so that's the error. Then we can just alert an error code. So in case probably the third-party API call fails, so we'll get that error, an error code. So we're good. And let's not also forget to our save function, save function. So we say function save link. So it takes in the original link and the short URL as a shortened URL, and we can say cons stored links. Now we're going to retrieve the links from our local storage. We're going to check local storage. So what we are doing here is first checking local storage. So say json.parse local storage dot get item. So let's the item we want to save what's it called? We want to save links inside a short links. We want to call the key for our local storage short links. So we say short links. So short links should return an array, or rather, yeah, it should return a string. Now that string will be made a strings. That's why we are passing it into a JSON string. If it doesn't return that, it returns a null value, then default it to an empty array. So next we say stored links.push. So we want to push the new links. So we say the object, create an object and push into that link. So we say original link and short URL. Next we say local storage dot set item. So to set it with the key called short links and JSON dot stringify. It will change the JSON back into an object, into a JSON object. So that's what JSON.stringify does. So it converts the JavaScript value to a JSON string. So we want to save that into a JSON string because it's currently an object, an array of objects. So we want to change that into a JSON string. So say stored links to stringify into a JSON string here. So next, I think that's what I want to do for now. Now, there are cool stuff we can do here. We can add a timer to remove the link after a certain amount of time. So maybe after 30 seconds or after 20 seconds or after 10 minutes to remove the link from the site. We can do that, but I will not do that now. Let me just focus on getting this to work. So when our DOM content is loaded, I want to also load our link. So I can come here and do so I can say load shorten links. So I can do load links. So now I'm going to create this function here. So I'll just come down here and say function. So inside of our load links function, so whenever our browser or that page is refreshed, it should load the links from local storage. So we say stored links is equal to JSON dot parse local storage or get items. Call that a short links, and it returns null. Then it should return an array, an empty array. So we say stored links for each. So for each object inside of the stored links array, so we say link is this display link. So we want to display the links. So we need another function to do that. So that is taking the link dot original link and the link dot short URL. Yes. So let's create another function and call that function display link. So that function takes into arguments the original and the shortened. So I can basically just come here and copy this shortened links. So I can just come here because I think it's about the same thing. So instead of having to write that myself, I can just come here and just paste it here. Then I'll come back to our link container here, copy this. I'll scroll down and just before link item, I can paste this here. So this is basically everything we did before. So instead of just repeating, there's a way to make it cleaner. Make a function and add them here and call it in this function and in the function it is required. But I don't want to bother myself about refactoring that for now. So what I'm doing here is when the links are loaded, we first get the shortened links elements. Then we create a link item div. Then we set the name, the class name to a link item. Then inside of that div, we add this link text, this inner HTML that has this link text div here. So we add all of this here. So I can change this. So this is now the shortened, and this is now the original. Okay. So save links here will be, no need to save. So want to append, we want it to come on top under the first. So when you load the first, the next one should come under, not on top. So yeah, we append that. Yeah, so everything looks good. So let's try come here and let's try to shorten this link and see how it works. So we're getting an error occurred and let's want to know why. So let's open our console here. And we can come into console. So we can check failed to load here. So let's check this. So this is our proxy here. So let's request access. So I'm also going to be leaving this in the video description. So if you're testing locally, you might need to use a proxy like this. So I've requested access here. So let's try and see how it works. Now we shorten that. Yeah, so it works. And I can change this. I can come and say Emmanuel John, and it does that. So we're good. And I can come here and also say Jones Peters. can do as many as I want. I can say theory goodness. Yeah, can add another one last one. Let's say it took Peters. Yes. Yeah. So we can also copy this. We can copy. We can copy. So let me try to copy this overdose engine here and come into a brand new tab. And if I click on it, yeah, it redirects me to x.com overdose engine. Yeah. So if we try to refresh this page here, yeah, we see that local storage already has all of this, so it's printing it back. So we can still copy this. Okay, so you see, we're trying to copy, but it's not working. Why? Let's go back to our display here. Yeah, okay. So when it is displayed, we have this copied here. So we have a problem here. This is not, this is what's causing that. So it should copy the shortened one. So if we save this and it refreshes and we click on this, we see copies. Click on another one, copies. You can also click directly on it and it will redirect you to another page because we set the targets to blank here. So we can come back and let's see if it's responsive. So let's come to our iPad screen. Okay, so we see that it's a bit not responsive, and we're going to be uh, making it responsive for our iPad screen right about now. Okay, so let's come back to our styles, the CSS, and let's come back styles, the CSS. Let's try to scroll to our media queries. Okay, so for our tablet screen, we're going to be adding some. Let's come here and see the link item. Let's make that width 100%. Let's display it as a flex. Let's justify content to be centered. Let's save this and yeah, we're good. We're good now. Let's also come to our iPhone 14 Pro Max screen. Yeah, so we see it's not properly aligned, and we're going to be using our CSS to properly align that so it looks a lot good, cleaner. So let's go to our mobile screen. Just after I think shortened links. URL Shortener. Okay. So let's say hash statistics dot container hash shortened links. So let's have a margin and say 40 pixels top, 15 pixels right, 20 pixels bottom, 15 pixels left. We save that. We check. So yeah, we're also going to add some other styles to the link text. So say link item dot link text, and we're going to make it a grid display grid, and the grid template columns will be 1FR. So save this. Yeah, so it looks a lot cleaner now. Looks a lot cleaner. And when we go back to our iPad screen, we see it's still good. We can close this check. Yeah, so that's about everything we needed to do. And let me also show you local storage here. And let's come to our applications. For this particular website, everything is on the local storage, so we can see everything inside the local storage. And the local storage doesn't expire, so that's why whenever we load up again, it just keeps coming up. And so we can delete this from local storage. Can delete this from local storage. So I can come here and say clear. So I've cleared that. So if I try to refresh, yeah, so it's not there again. So let me try and add another one and see. Yeah, so it comes up and all stuff. So um, next point is you can remove the these links from the screen without refreshing it. You can set a timer that removes it after every 1 minute, after every 10 minutes, 6 hours, 12 hours, depending on your use case. So I'm going to allow you to explore that yourself. I would want to do it for you, but for you to expand the project, I would want you to do that by yourself. It's pretty easy to do. Just add a timeout to remove the links by yourself. So it's also going to help your JavaScript knowledge and understanding too. So yeah, that's it for now. So we've been able to build a very responsive URL shortening landing page. We used HTML, we used CSS, grid, flexbox, some animations, pseudo elements, pseudo classes, media queries. We're also able to integrate into a third-party API to shorten our links. And yeah, that's about everything we needed to do. Thanks for staying till now. Love to catch you on the next one. And it's bye for now. And yeah, before I go, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And you can also add them to your portfolio also. It'll be good. Yeah, so that'll be all for now. Bye.